So this is the second video. In the first video, I went through the front of this page. So in the second video, we're going to talk about the second page of this. But along with the second page and practicing this, there's something I want us to think about. Something that's not likely and something that's somewhat likely and then very likely. So we learned on the first page that the sum of all probabilities in a sample space is equal to 1. So this probability that you get for something, the closer it is to 1, the more likely it is to occur. So, or the closer it is to 100%. So the closer this fraction or decimal is to 1, or the closer this percent is to 100%, that would mean it's very, very likely to happen. So something that's not likely is going to be closer to 0. Something that's somewhat likely to happen will be close to a half. That's somewhat likely. It's like a 50-50 chance. And then very likely is going to be something that's close to 1. So I want you to consider how likely something is when you're looking at these fractions or percents that you're getting as you're solving these. So how likely is it as well? So let's focus on having the fraction or remember simplified. The percent, looking at the percent, so this would be 0% and this would be 100%. So let's look at the fraction and the percent on this, and then let's determine whether we think it's not likely or very likely to happen. So number 4, a month of the year is chosen. Find each probability. So how many months are in the year? There's 12 months. Okay. The likelihood that, or the probability that it starts with J. So out of 12, we have January, March, April, May, June, and July. So that's 3/12. That can be simplified. That would be 1/4, which is 25%. So I would say like not very likely. It's not quite somewhat. It's kind of in between this not likely and somewhat likely. It starts with a T. January, February, March, April, May, June. There's none that start with a T. There's none. So this would be 0%. This is not likely. And then it has at most 30 days. So this could be 30, this will be less than or equal to 30. So we can think about like our fingers. I don't know if you know this finger trick. January, so this would be February, March, April, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. 30 days has September, April, June, February, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 out of 12. Because all the other 7 have 31 days. 5 out of 12. I'm going to use my calculator for that one. And second percent to convert it. Oops. So this is 41.6 repeating percent. So 41. This is somewhat. That's pretty close. That's pretty close to 50 when we think about 25 or 0%. This is somewhat likely. So it's possible. It's like almost a 50-50 chance that we will choose a day that has at most 30 days. If you don't know much about a deck of cards, you can go find a deck of cards at home to do the deck of cards. But There's 52 cards in a deck. There's black and red, and half of 52. Um, so there's 26. There's 26 black, 26 red, a spade. Yeah. So there's hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs. Spades and clubs are black. Hearts and diamonds are red. You can just look at a deck of cards and do this one. If you don't have a deck of cards at home, I don't care if you don't do number 7. But you should be able to do these two on your own. Think about the likelihood of them. And then the last part is the complement of an event. The complement is a little bit blurry. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the complement of an event. And that's not saying like, oh, you're pretty. A complement is the probability that an event not occurring. And this little symbol, this little squiggle, actually means not. Since the sum of all probabilities in a sample space is 1, the probability of an event not occurring is 1 minus the probability of the event. So basically what this means is you can find the probability that it would and then do 1 minus that. And that makes the most sense as like a decimal. Could be as a fraction too. So basically you're doing like 1 minus the probability. So number 8, if the probability that it will rain is 3/8, what is the probability that it will not rain? So the complement of this. So 1 minus 3/8 is 5/8. 5/8. That's pretty likely. That's more than 50%. That's pretty likely. That's highly likely. And okay, prime numbers. Do number 9 on your own. Prime numbers are numbers that can only be multiplied by 1 in itself. So 1 through 20 would be 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So the only way to get these numbers, these are prime numbers. The only way to get these numbers is by multiplying them by 1 in themselves. So like 4 is 2 times 2 and 6 is 2 times 3. So like we drop those out. So the prime numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's actually 1 is not prime. 1 is not prime. 1 is not prime. 1 is not prime because it can be squared. Okay, 1 is not prime. So there's 8 of them. So 1 minus 8 out of 20 numbers would be 12 20ths. And that can simplify to 6 tenths, 3 fifths, 3 fifths, 3 fifths, which is 60%. That's pretty likely also. That's about 60%, pretty likely. States that start with M, you can Google that, figure out how many states, there's 50 states, how many states do not begin with the letter M, so like 1 minus how many start with M. So in this video, I'm going to also address homework. Excuse me. So you will see this probability maze, and we will have the time in class to do the probability maze, but this is kind of an optional task for my students who are at home. If you feel like you have the time, we have an 80-minute class, so that's a really long time, but you really only have like a dedicated hour to be working on my class. So you don't have to do the simple probability maze. This is classwork. If you do it and you want to turn it into me, I will absolutely look at it, but you don't have to do the maze. For the homework, here's the homework page. Um, I want you to do on the front, I want you to do all of number 1 and all of number 3. So 1 and 3. Um, if you want to do the cards in the photosynthesis, you can, but just the deck of cards is a little bit confusing sometimes. And if you're not like great with the deck of cards, but if I want everybody to do 1 and 3, all of the parts for 1 and 3. And then on the back, we're going to do 6 and 7. And then pick 2 down here. So 6, 7, and then any 2 problems of these 4, because these are all the complement ones. So any 2 of the complement ones, you can do them all if you want, but only 2 of the complement ones. So again, we're doing 1, 3, 6, 7, plus 2 at the bottom. Okay, 1, 3, 6, 7, and 2 at the bottom. That is your homework. Again, the maze is optional. That's our classwork, but you're not in class, so it's up to you. I'll make sure the post says this for you too. Have a good day.